Alexandria.
I was so ready to talk to Verge Ausberry on Friday afternoon. I couldn't wait to get to Monday morning to celebrate my guy who's the Deputy Director of Athletics. He's in charge of scheduling over at LSU. I thought LSU had a huge W, the biggest W, or the first W of the 2020 football season, was learning that Missouri was going to make the trip to Baton Rouge and LSU was going to make back-to-back trips to Nashville. Since then, the news over the weekend has college football hanging in the balance, so I'd imagine that means a busy Monday for our guy Verge Ausberry, who, as we said, is a Deputy Director of Athletics over at LSU, and he's back with us here on this Monday morning on Off the Bench. Good to talk to you, sir. How are you?
Good to be back, Jordy. How you doing this morning?
I guess let's just start in chronological order. Friday, you guys get the news that you add Missouri and you add Vanderbilt to the roster. What was the reaction from you guys? Or just take me through that process of learning that those were the two schools added.
You know, it was a long process, and as I said on your show earlier, thanks to the SEC, Greg Sankey and his group, Mark Womack, those guys, they did a great job with this process. With so much uncertainty there, and so much we don't know what's going to happen, and didn't know how this was going to turn out. They walked us through and kept everybody on the same page in the conference, all 14 schools. We didn't learn about it until about 3:30, 4 o'clock Friday afternoon, who our opponents were going to be. In fact, Jordan, we thought it would be someone else, two other teams, one other team, and one of the teams that we got picked. But we were shocked when the calls came through, and it was Missouri here and Vanderbilt there, and we were happy, especially the way our schedule falls and the SEC West and Florida's that permanent opponent. And Jordan, we were the champion. We were the national champion, still a national champion, and I think it was deserving that, if you do like high school football and the other picks, the best teams get the best schedule. So I think that might have played into it, but it worked out the way we wanted it to work.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Respect to the champs,
that's
baby.
What I'm saying,
Okay, so since then, what has discussions been like, whether it's between you and the league office or between you and the brass at LSU, on what the likelihood of you guys playing this schedule is?
Right now, there's like I said earlier, there's so much uncertainty, Jordan. We don't know, and the thing we're handling right now is just the health of our athletes, the health of our students, and we're gonna monitor this thing. I think there'll be a lot of conversations over the next couple of days here, and just try to figure out what's going on. And it's so much uncertainty. There's so many rumors out there. There's so many different people talking, and really no one has a definite answer of what's going to happen. But we're monitoring it close. We talking to our football coach. We're talking to our student athletes. And, out of what happens, we're going to be positive about this thing. We're going to stay positive right now. We got a great schedule Friday. And, hopefully we could get this thing going.
And it's kind of fascinating, Verge, because where we sit today, Monday morning, 7:30 a.m., it does look like university presidents could end up going head-to-head with the athletes themselves, who appear to, on the whole, to want to play this fall. And I guess the question is, if it did come down to that, how much momentum can these athletes actually create in terms of deciding whether they themselves get to play or not?
In our business, especially the NCAA and been in this business a while, there's always, reshaping and reforming a lot of business and the business model of what happens and how this thing looks. They've been talking years and years about different looks within the NCAA, different looks in the Power Five, things of that nature. I think it's a process, and I think there'll be a lot of conversations. I think when this thing is over, there'll be a different look to how things look in college athletics. And it's a long process, and right now, we can't get emotional and make emotional decisions. We have to stay calm. We have to keep doing what we do, and that's keeping the athletes healthy. That's keeping us with the football schedule we have. That's keeping people, in the workouts. And then we get to those points, But our jobs are to monitor and make sure that the well-being of our student athletes, our coaches, and our fans. That's what we have to do, and make sure LSU is in the right position.
Verge Ausberry joining us here, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Saw a tweet come out from Jamar Chase last night. Obviously, he's the best player in college football, best player on LSU's team. Can you talk about the relationship you have with the players and kind of what the back and forth is with a player like Chase in a time like this where there's uncertainty around the game?
Well, Chase is a leader, and he's one of the leaders on our team. He's been a leader for a while in our program. I helped recruit Jamar. You remember Jamar made the Florida early in the process. And but got him back. I'm very close to his father, Jimmy, and his mother, and in the recruiting process, I met with those parents. Those guys, they're ready to play. I mean, Jamar's in probably the best shape he's ever been in his life. He did very well academically this year. He's become the leader of the team. It's great to see those young men like that come in here as freshmen. And it passes fast, too, Jordy. A year and a half ago, he was just a true freshman here, struggling to get his feet on the ground. And now, he's one of the best players in the country. So, Jamar is a leader on our program and a leader on our team and does what he takes to be the best.
Talking to Verge Ausberry, LSU Executive Deputy Athletic Director here on Off the Bench, 105, 100.3, 94.7 ESPN. Verge, one of the conversations we've been having is whether or not players are actually safer on or off campus. Do you think that players are safer in the football environment versus being at home with postponed football?
That was a great debate we had, and I talked earlier about Dr. Katie O'Neill and Shelley Monarchs, who led this for us. One of the things that we thought also about the bubble, like you talk about the NBA, do you put them all in one area? And could that work? It probably can, but I'm talking about 18, 19, 20-year-olds, and you're going to see that with every group. So you saw it in Major League Baseball, and it's just a discipline of a kid at that age. And they're going to go home. There's breaks in between. There's parents. So they get exposed to other things when they visit other people outside the bubble. It would be very hard to contain a group of guys like that in one section, one area, unless you just move them completely off the campus. There's students coming back at LSU here soon. There's students coming back at Southern, Baton Rouge Community College. High schools are starting up again. So there's a lot of people, as you know, in the summer, Baton Rouge is slow, but when school starts, Baton Rouge, traffic is bad in the city. A lot of people will be in the city. And a lot of our student athletes are going to be exposed to a lot of people. So, you look at it, the thing we did was, let them mature on their own, and we're going to help them with that and make sure that they stay safe. Make sure when you're at home, you know who you're around, you know where you're going, and it would be able to track it if anything was to happen. But it's very hard to say, could we just put them all in a bubble and be safe?
Verge, you're in the position of decision-making at a very prominent SEC school. What's today look like for you? What's your agenda look like?
Today's a lot of phone calls, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of phone calls, a lot of discussions. There's a lot of things out there, and you all know what they are. And we just talking and keeping an open line of dialogue going. You have to, because bottom line, there's uncertainty. You don't know who's saying what. You don't know where it's coming from. You have other conferences making comments out there. I think we've done a great job as the SEC. And in these times, people say, "Well, we want you to lead. We want you to come out and say something." Well, it's not that time. We ought to lead. We're trying to make sure that we have the right information before you say something, not just saying something to say something. And a lot of people just want to get out there and make comments and really don't know what direction this thing is going to take. It changes from, like I told people, it changes from week to week, day to day, hour to hour.
Verge, good luck to you and your compadres today. I know that there is a lot of people watching on what happens with the decisions that comes out of conferences, in particular right here around this region in the SEC football. Thank you for your time this morning.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Got it.
Thank you,
There's
Verge.
Verge Ausberry checking in from LSU football this morning. Look, he's trying to say as much as he can without saying a lot.
Yeah, he's in a very tenuous spot.
He's
there.
in a tough spot.
Cannot say anything of actual commitment.
I actually was last night texting back and forth to him because he and I had set this interview up on Friday, and like I said, we were looking to really talk about
You still
the
good?
celebration of LSU kind of earning that first W with the schedule coming out. I texted him last night if we were still good, and he said yes, and I thought that was pretty stand up because I thought how much news had changed since the first time that we had texted through the weekend.
A lot of wisdom in what Verge said about the ever-changing shape of athletics. He's absolutely right. On the other side of this, it will look different. And from where I sit, it seems like now I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know how you make this happen, but the fix feels like get rid of amateurism, at least in the revenue-producing sports. Don't have the revenue-producing sports beholden to things like Title IX or other because they are their own thing, right? It's just capitalism. They make money. These major Power 5 football make major Power 5 football its own thing. Get a players union, and then if that was the case, you could educate players on the risks they're assuming, because as Jordy says, they are akin to many other risks that football has always had, at least numbers-wise, statistically. You could make college football players fully aware of the risks that they are assuming, and then if they were paid employees, right, they could have the ability to make an informed and empowered decision where they could say, we want to play, and then schools, I believe, legally would not be liable. Right now, if anything went wrong, I feel like they would just be opened up to massive, massive class action lawsuits that could continue to spin out.
Put the waiver together. I mean, my son signs a waiver to play 5th and 6th grade football, 3rd and 4th grade
football. Well, they
football.
did the waiver then, and then it got because they're not paid. That's why they did the waiver.
It all comes down to the
and
money.
Because they're not paid, it got lambasted and it got taken away, and it got. Remember, that was one of the core things of the players of the Pac-12 won is no more signing of these BS waivers until we get our money.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that the commissioners who are in charge of making these decisions, if they can't come up with a clear plan to get these kids on the field who are clearly showing you through their social media posts and through their voice that they want to play, then that they need to have some type of adversity dealt to them. They need to whack their pay. They need to whack their salary. They need to show these guys some adversity. I mean, it's your responsibility to lead these kids and put them in the best place to succeed, and it's your responsibility to get them on the field. They want to play, make the decisions that make that happen. We'll close at hour 1 next.